The Elder Scrolls Online is a crazy, crazy experience. If you want to know how crazy it is, please witness this montage that I've collected while I've played Elder Scrolls Online. Let me start off by saying that this is a great MMORPG. Never mind all the complaints, never mind all, everybody will be critical of this game. Never mind all that. This is a video that's simply going to be describing to you what I think about the story without trying to spoil anything in between. So if I am a bit generic, do forgive me. If my screen resolution is a bit messed up, well then please forgive me because I had to record on a laptop that doesn't support 1920x1080. In the meanwhile, what I will say is that this is a very well played MMORPG. Hundreds of players are playing this every single day. This is a fantastic world with fantastic story, with fantastic lore, and with fantastic voice acting. All I can say is that there is lots and lots of content that's going to keep you engrossed for hours. There is so much content within this game that you'll be like, wow, is this a new game that I've entered? And I say this, if this game just had a single player content, just with the single player elements, this game would sell quite a lot. In fact, it would be the Elder Scrolls 6. And I'll keep on making this point in my video. This is the Elder Scrolls 6. Not in terms of so much, in terms of lore and stuff, but it feels like a big mod of Skyrim, but just massively expanded. It's got so many stories. You've got so many exciting dungeons and boss fights and so much more in this game that all I can say is that I've had a great time experiencing this game. I've had a great time playing this game, and I'm just going to be letting you know what I've experienced, what I've enjoyed, and hopefully what you'll enjoy when you play the Elder Scrolls Online. And that's it. So you can just watch this montage as I try my best to try and fight Mehrunes Dagon and others. I'm not trying to spoil too much here, but I definitely hope that you will enjoy. I think the Elder Scrolls Online really immerses you into what the world is about. Every part of the world you go, every race, every individual, everyone has a story to tell. There is no area in Elder Scrolls Online that isn't alone or left without a story. Even if you visit a dungeon, a delve, or you read a bookshelf when you're raiding or looting a dungeon or delve or whatever it is, you're always exploring something new. Even the architecture of the Elder Scrolls Online instantly tells you of a story. And sometimes I wish those beautiful sets that they build within the dungeons would be available within the world game itself. So when you explore in XYZ, you get to experience these epic castles and such, and many of it is there, but they're in self-contained cities. So I really want more towns in Elder Scrolls Online with more quests and more areas to do. Now obviously most of the dungeons themselves also have single player story style content. That is, you go into a dungeon, you complete a quest and you get a reward. But then after that there isn't much. And for those who are solo players, that does kind of feel a bit, disappointing. Because what I would like is if if the dungeon quests actually carried on to your standalone story expansion or whatever it is within the Elder Scrolls Online. So for example, if you play the Fargrave story and you go to a dungeon, let's say in Icereach, perhaps some of that content could spill over to Fargrave, or perhaps some of that content could spill on over to a next expansion. So I'd like to see more different tie-ins of different content connecting with each other. And that's another thing, because the world building is so good that it makes me feel like I'm in that world of Elder Scrolls. And I've said that this is the Elder Scrolls 6 for me. Though I believe that this game is not completely lore accurate, it does a heck of a job to immerse you into the world of what Elder Scrolls is. Basically, this is what most RPG games dreamed it would be. To have a massive world where you can go and help people, get involved in plots and conspiracies, and do whatever you want. There are not that many games with the huge size of Elder Scrolls Online that have this. Sure, plenty of filler in the game, plenty of, content that you get bored by, but it does enough to immerse you into the job. But for solo players that just want to settle down for the night, have a great MMORPG experience, meaning just basically go through the story and pretty much just have a fun time that's not too multiplayer intense and heavy, then this is the game for you. If you like solo content, you just want to get involved in the Elder Scrolls Online, then you will be in for an epic story of the world as well. So even if I go to a dungeon, even if I go to a delve, alright, one of my most favorite things to do is to go right there, find a bookshelf and start reading these short mini stories or mini chapters, because they provide so much lore and so much identity to the world of Elder Scrolls Online. And the other thing is the music. The music is composed in such a way that it's ambient at the same time, but it makes you feel like you're part of this new world. Every time I'm in the Elder Scrolls Online, I'm always feeling like I'm part of this new fascinating world. You don't need Elder Scrolls 6. You don't need Elder Scrolls 6 because Elder Scrolls 6 is going to take to 2027. Right? And who knows if it's just nothing more than Skyrim itself. Or Skyrim redone, or Skyrim remastered. Right? Do you think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to allow you to explore most of the world? Alright? Is it going to allow you to explore the world of Tamriel, to experience what has been written about it? And this is something that it just fits so well. Now I know that people say that Elder Scrolls Online lore isn't that concurrent with, let's say, current lore that was established in Oblivion, in Skyrim, etc. But even if it isn't that established, it's definitely expanding the world of the Elder Scrolls lore a lot more than what we have right now. Now people will say, oh, but you haven't tried Skyrim, you haven't tried mods. Look, I've tried Skyrim. I've tried downloading the game and trying to install mods, but it is absolutely impossible for me to do so. Absolutely. Because I try and install, there's either a patch or I can't figure out how to mod Skyrim, and then there's the pain of going to 3,000 hours of trying to mod Skyrim. Elder Scrolls Online is pretty much like a gigantic mod, but with way more content in that sense, alright? I'm not trying to compare anything, but it just has more content and it's more easy to go install and play. It's more easy for me to strike up a quest and go and do this XYZ than it is trying to figure out which mods to play in Skyrim. Because in Skyrim, I'm that type of player that wants to download, okay, let's say a bunch of mods that readdress Skyrim, alright, that make sure the city look all glorious, etc. And then you have, these big expansion mods that take you to other areas of Tamriel. And big quest mods. But I can't even get half of that working without my mod list order break-in, and therefore I just give up. Elder Scrolls Online is more like a gateway. It's a gateway to the new world it's a gateway to the new world of Tamriel. And it allows me to experience stories in Morrowind, in Hammerfell, in places that the Elder Scrolls games have not really gone that far for me. And right now, I'm playing the Fargrave storyline and I am absolutely loving it. I'm loving the fact that when you go into the city, it's like this weird, chaotic circus of chaos. It's madness, it's Daedra, and there's humans and Daedra coexisting with each other. but they all make snide comments to each other at the same time. I love the absolute color design of the city because it resembles the Daedric madness of universes, you know, and I absolutely like the way you can do these quests. You can do pretty much anything you want within Fargrave, as in you operate within that storyline, you do the quests, and you explore the Deadlands. I think it's absolutely great. I think this should have been the main expansion rather than Blackwood, because Blackwood really didn't satisfy it for me. Blackwood was a bit too vanilla, and Deadlands and Fargrave was a bit better experience. It was definitely on the scale of, let's say, stopping Mehrunes Dagon, but they really have to clean up the act with Mehrunes Dagon, because Dagon is that type of guy that wants to literally overtake most of, let's say, Tamriel, but he hasn't succeeded. And yet at the same time, I do wish that they would find some ways to freshen up that story. Apart from Dagon trying to overtake the world, you know, you could maybe have Dagon become like a Sauron figure, like the way Sauron manipulated the fall of Numenor. At least have Dagon do something like that, rather than, oh no, Dagon wants to overtake the world, blah blah blah. You know, I would appeal to the ESO writers. You guys are great, but please, can we have, let's, instead of having, you know, save the world stories, we have try and stop an evil manipulative figure from trying to bring the breakdown of a kingdom, of an empire, or manipulate XYZ. Why don't we have things like that, storytelling like that, that changes more and more as we progress further? Because there's plenty of stories, plenty of side stories that do exactly this type of content, especially in the Elder Scrolls Online. One of the most underrated features of this game is its storyline, right? The storyline may not be exactly complete, but each and every storyline that expands, according to me, expands the world, gives it new meaning, gives it new lore, and it absolutely makes it more enticing to play the game. Because I spent hundreds of hours playing this game, playing Somerset, playing all these chapters, and it's made me wanting to play even further and further and further. I kid you not, this is the Elder Scrolls 6. No doubt, of course, that you will have to spend a lot of money to basically get the max amount of crowns to basically, you know, spend on the chapters. Or, if you want to look at the currency exchange rate, if you want to earn it in terms of currency, like let's say you don't want to end up paying, you know, 89 pounds or 90 pounds or whatever it is, you could literally have to earn 5 million gold, that is within the game, if you're playing with an ESO Plus membership or without, alright? You would pay that much in game to get 1,500 crowns. Then that would mean you would have to earn a lot of money just to break even. So there are ways around it, and there are ways that you would have to play. There are ways that you would have to figure out how you play the game, how you purchase your own money. That's up to you. I'm not going to judge anybody. I'm just saying that this is what it's going to take. But for the amount of story content, the amount of voice acting that's done, it's really incredible. The voice acting I found was really good. For me at least. Now for others, plenty of people have had different experiences. Some may like it, some may not like it, and that's up to them. But this is basically what I imagine a huge RPG world game would be. We have plenty of quests and plenty of things to do. I want Dragon Age Deadbolt to have that type of immersion. I want Dragon's Dogma 2 to have that type of immersion. That is, you put me in the world and there's plenty of quests, plenty of NPCs to interact with, plenty of quests that are engaged and make me involved in the game. That's what I want the most. You know, there are not that many games that have this size. People might say, what size? Elder Scrolls Online is small. I'm not saying it's small, it's big. There's plenty of worlds. And you imagine trying to have, let's say, big games out there to have massive open worlds with massive amount of quests. It's going to take forever. Right? But here you have the Elder Scrolls Online. If you remove the multiplayer aspects, it would definitely be achieving that. But for solo players that just want an MMORPG experience that's not too multiplayer intense and heavy, then this is the perfect solo experience for them. Because I will say that I've experienced many of the storylines. Some of them I can remember. Some story missions I can even remember doing. Some I didn't like the most, but I experienced all of it and it felt like I was in a movie. It felt as if this was a new world, right? And there are some really great aspects that I love, like if you go to the dells or the dungeons and you go explore these, let's say, these alien ruins, and they have a lot of lore as well. You go to the Deadlands and you experience that same type of lore as well. That lore meaning you go and read the bookshelves. Now, I know there are many players that don't like that. They just want to rush through everything and crush XYZ NPC guard. But for me, I'm someone that likes to take it down, slow down, read the bookshelves, and get immersed into this world. And I've still yet to play Oblivion and Skyrim properly. Those are great games by themselves. But Elder Scrolls Online it just makes me feel more immersed into the world of Elder Scrolls. Even if I repeated that many times, I would really wish that they expand more on more pirate DLC, more like ship naval based combat or something, or maybe even more on the aliens, more mystical stuff. I want more DLC focus. But at the same time, ESO Online for me is like a mod but with multiple stories, multiple plays to play, and so much good content that the only unfortunate thing is of course the microtransactions and that you can't play the single player content offline. And the game itself is really heavily dependent on, I would say, the solo content within the game, the single player story within the game. Now for some players, you can just ignore what I said, because for you that like the multiple aspects, you're definitely not going to agree with me. There will be plenty of people out there that will either agree or disagree, but I say that if the Elder Scrolls Online didn't have its unique storyline, didn't have its unique cast of characters, there really wouldn't be that much of a reason to keep playing that game. The only other thing I'll say is that, let's say you go to Fargrave, let's say you go to a city, you'll pretty much complete most of the quests that are there. And I honestly wish there were more. So instead of having just 10 to 12 quests, maybe have 13 to 20. Let's have more side quests, more story quests. Because some of the quests in this game are really emotional. They can be very small, minor quests, but they can have the most impact on you when you're playing your game. When you're making a decision to save someone, or you're making a decision to do something else. So all in all, I'm just going to conclude this by saying that the Elder Scrolls Online, in terms of a solo experience, in terms of story player experience, it's pretty good. There'll be people that will be doing crafting quests, there'll be people that will be doing, weekend quests, all sorts. There'll be plenty of people that will complain about the game plenty of times, but this is an MMORPG, and what MMORPG game is there that isn't without complaints? All the best MMORPG games have a bunch of people that will either like it, dislike it, or do whatever. So ultimately it's up to you whether you want to play this game or not, whether you want to experience this game or not. It's all up to you and how you play. And I think this is the best solo experience for those players that want a story style experience. If I've not made myself clear enough, this video is talking about more or less about the story rather than more or less the dungeons or the dells or the endless archives, which is quite good by the way. But I'm not gone into that right now because so far I'm just talking about the story. And this video focuses on the story aspect of the game, and I've not even gone that far because I don't want to spoil too much. So I want to know what you think. Let's have a discussion, let's have a talk, and I will just try and respond to pretty much as many comments as I can. And yeah, what do you think of Elder Scrolls Online? Do you think it's great for story? Do you think it's great for playing or PvPs, unbalanced or whatever it is? Let me know. So don't forget to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Also check out my work in progress, the RPG YouTuber channel, which will be focusing more on RPG content and guides related to this game. I promise to give you a great time when you are experiencing that type of content, and definitely please give it a subscribe because there's a lot of good content coming in the future and I can't wait to see you there. So don't forget to leave a like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See you.